Hey everybody, I'm Tricia Averett.
And I'm Carolyn Wiggins.
And welcome to The Color of Success, where we showcase, motivate, and celebrate culture, creativity, and success of ordinary people. And today, we're having a real life discussion. We'll be right back.
What's the color? I need to know what's the color. What's the color? I need to know what's the color.
Hello, Juan King, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I understand that you are an activist, you're a writer, and you're the brother of the late Rodney King.
Yes, I am.
What a position that is.
Thank
I
you.
mean, that gives us a lot to talk about.
Yes, it does.
We've been doing a series of discussions about African Americans and the freedom choices that have been taken away from them. I'd like to know, do you feel with the current climate, the things that have been happening to Black people, that our freedom is being stripped away from us?
It's not necessarily being stripped away, but it's being manipulated away.
Okay.
And I say that because some of it is at our own doing towards each other, black on black crime. But yes, the system has lately been targeting blacks, African Americans, and minorities as a reason, possibly multiple reasons, but the one that I can address for sure is what I like to call the ghetto politics.
The ghetto politics?
Yeah, we have a lot of drama. We have a lot of
That's
politics,
Drama.
yeah, on our level,
Oh, yeah,
know,
we do.
and
We do.
we are not manipulating the system in our favor. We basically manipulating it away from each other. And I feel that the black community should be more tight-knit and let the onlookers and other races know that we got our stuff together. We need to do things as a black family. We need to be united in our businesses. We need to involve our youth in our businesses. And we need to invest back into our own community, and then we'll get our respect from the superiors and the forces that be. Because if they see that there's a deficit in our strength, then they won't have any, reluctance or holdback to come at us. They'll come at us if they feel that we're weak,
That's interesting. That's interesting. We had another activist on the show, and he basically said that the African American family is being disintegrated because of economics. Do you agree with that?
Well, it might sound contradictory, but yes, I do and I don't. I don't agree that the money first is the reason for the decline.
Okay.
I feel that we need to be more aware of what money can do. And that requires an education, power. And power is basically the ability to do something, good, quality, like a faculty. We need to have more strategy and technique, involved in our businesses, involved in our approach with these corporate leaders and some of these politicians, and I'm not going to address everyone as being, oppressive towards us, because the ones that are, they just don't feel that we have what it takes to compete on their level. So they'll give us a hard time, and hopefully that we will self-destruct or we will deteriorate out of the competition. But money is necessary. And money is what makes the world go round. It's, our society is built on economy, and our economy is money. It's livestock, it's grain, wheat, and things like that money does buy and purchase. So yes, money is important, but I think first we need an education of what the money could be used towards and how it should be used. And then we'll get our respect. For instance, if we again, reinvest into our communities and we start building up on our level from ground level, we'll get the acknowledgments from up top. and then they will kind of cease with the hostility and the doubts, about our credibility, because technically they're basically wanting to know where we stand. Their biggest question right now is, where do the blacks stand in terms of them? Are they with us or are they against us? And a lot of the hostility that we're feeling is as a result of the pressure that they're putting on us to test us. And some of us meet the test and some of us don't, because we might not have the proper pronunciation of words. We might not be dressed a certain way. Some of us might use slang. Some of us may not have invested to where they're interested in it, But we need to show them that, we are African Americans working as a dual force with them and not against them. And then they'll back off oppressing us or just making it difficult for us to accumulate the money. Because again, the money basically is being controlled, we all know, by who. And it's been manipulated to where we only get a certain percentage. GR, welfare, Social Security, these handouts is basically just a pacifier, and a lot of us are so tired from the struggle that, we pretty much accept that. Whereas,
Can I chime in? I heard you say so much, and you just have a wealth of knowledge, it sounds like, with respect to what is going on in our society today with African Americans versus the system being the government or the powers to be. And it sounds like that I hear you saying that, hey, really some of this is happening. We're not progressing because we don't have the education, the money part of it. Even if we had it, most of us don't know what to do with it. It sounds like we're having an issue actually planning and strategizing based on what you're saying as to where we're going. And then I hear you say something that's really interesting that I haven't heard anyone on this show talk about yet, is a lot of this feeling of being discriminated against is actually, it sounds like, us being ignored because we're a non-factor in this equation because our contribution to the society is so minute. Am I hearing you say that, or did I take that out of context?
no, on a certain level, you're correct. But then on a higher level, it's an issue of, like they said, not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for the country.
Sure.
Well, they want us to show them what we can do for them. And then we'll get our respect. We'll get our justice.
Okay.
And we'll get our freedom. But they just need to know that they can trust us with their money.
So this is a test? Is this a test?
It's
Sounds
pretty
like
much
it's
it's
a
pretty
test.
much a test. And the sad thing about it is it leads off into hostility and hate and racism and politics and everything that come in that package, because now we're targeted by other races that feel like they deserve a shot at being next in command.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they test us too.
Right. So we're kind of getting it from all sides.
I mean, we get all kind of testing. We always get tested.
But we shall overcome. We're strong people.
Someday.
Yes, we will.
I mean,
This is not a laughing matter. This
No,
is
it's
really
very
this
serious.
is really serious here.
Yes, it
I guess
is.
it's just to listen to you say what you've said. It's so real. It really is. But I've never heard anyone quite put it in that perspective yet, especially not here lately. And it sounds like to me, you're saying like, you know what, we have a lot of work to do. So, Mr. King, tell us, where do we start? How do where do you have any ideas at all just to get us on track? Where do we start?
Yeah, first and foremost, we must communicate. We have to stand up and not just say Black Lives Matter, but we need to show them why. And I'm not saying in a physical sense, it shouldn't have to go to that.
Sure.
But we do need to communicate more in the sense that they understand that we know what's going on, we know where it's coming from, and we don't need to sweep certain oppression from whatever race under the carpet as if it's not happening. If it's some political game being played on us, which is creating death or maybe poverty or homelessness, then we need to approach that and deal with that. We just can't ignore it, because that's our people that's falling victim to the streets. And I don't want to sound racist, because that's not what it is. You know, this also applies to any race. But this topic here is predominantly directed towards our people, black people, African Americans. And so that's why I'm speaking in this term. But yes, as a people, we need to basically, you know, get our lawyers. We have black lawyers. We have black representatives. We have black spokespeople. We have people that's versed in politics,
Sure.
you know, and they know the business. And we need them to just basically make a verbal description of the things happening and why, and then we need to put a stop to that first, you know, and again, you know, it's just a matter of communicating with the forces that be.
Sure.
And so once they hear that we know what we're talking about in terms of us not getting our issue as African Americans, our rights, you know, whatever it is that we're entitled to, we need to speak out on that and just keep pushing for that until we get it. And once we get that, then we go on to whatever else it is that we need to be comfortable here in America as African Americans, because this is our country too. You know, we help
Absolutely.
them form this country.
Absolutely.
So you're saying we get back out there and picket and demonstrate, and that's how we get the attention again?
Well, you know, being that it's 2015, picketing is cool. I mean, if it's really that, you know, if it's really to that, and really it is to
He's
that.
like, Jimmy Hoffa's gone, but
Yeah, I mean, you know-
I'll pick it.
Yeah, picketing is cool, but I mean, there's
How
so
else
many.
do we get their attention?
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
there's
really.
a lot of approaches to it. You know, we can just, I mean, call a conference, you know, with the city and state leaders, you know, and we bring our African American leaders and we sit down and we open up these law books. And I know somewhere in those books, there is rules and laws and regulations that grant us certain freedom rights, certain prosperity rights, certain citizen rights, certain civil rights.
That's
You know, and although a lot of the things that's happening in the world, there's really no words for, you know, but we do have what's called the spirit of the law. And so if we utilize the spirit of the law to address these nonverbal issues and situations that we're faced with daily, then we will get our acknowledgments. It's just materializing an invisible event to paint a picture so that they can see, hey, this is what you guys are doing to us, and we feel it's as a result of this. And that'll back them up because now their coverage is blown, you know, and so it will pretty much put a muzzle on the aggressive violence towards black people, you know, but we have to use the law books. Before, when we didn't have an education, they whooped us real bad with the law, you know, and that's why I know a lot of blacks are confined because we did things that's really, you know, in some cases it's justifiable, but in a law book which they used against us, and we didn't have defense.
Why do you
They
think?
sentence
Why do you
us
think that there are so many black men and women in the prison systems today? I don't remember the exact statistic on it. We talked about it on our last show, but I do know that there are more African American men and women populating the prisons here in America than any other race in the country. Do you think that we are vulnerable because we are a non-factor, because we are not contributing anything to this society, and so we're easy target? And really, if we're easy target, like what makes someone want to waste their time, you know, to pick on the helpless then?
Well, Aunt Tricia, in a lot of ways, we are not vulnerable.
Okay.
In a lot of ways, we're strong,
Okay.
very strong. They know it,
Okay.
you know. And in some cases, we're not strong. We're ignorant. And that's not a bad thing. We just don't have knowledge
know.
of certain things.
Okay.
But where we're strong at is one reason why a lot of black males and females are locked up, you know, and then we're stuck in a state of poverty, you know, where we don't have much. So we do what we have to do to survive. And sometimes that may require, you know, some illegal stuff. We get locked
So
up.
it's
they
back
throw the
to
book at us.
economics.
It goes
But-
back
to
to
economics,
to economics.
right?
But I'm not
Okay.
saying that it's cool to do illegal stuff. But I mean, when you between a rock and a hard spot, what do? There's no other choices. So a lot of our youth is just trying to sell drugs or just hustle whatever they can hustle, you know. It might be a vending machine that they don't have a city permit for that gets them locked up. You know what I'm saying? It's really something that they can just dismiss in court with a fine or something. You know, the same with substance abuse. They just recently changed the law that certain substance abusers will get reduced sentences because it's a nonviolent offense.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
but there is cases where some of these guys do not deserve to be locked up. They need medical attention. They need some psychiatric evaluation.
Right.
And in some cases, they just need to be reprogrammed on the update structure of society today. You know, and again, we're functioning off double standards too. You know,
Right.
sometimes what's right is wrong and sometimes what's wrong is right, and that's not cool. You know, because a lot of these kids are being programmed and manipulated by forces and superior authorities to do things not only against their people, but even against themselves. And this is where we get the black on black crime.
Can you give us an example of that? I know that a month or so ago, Mr. Najee Ali was here on the show, and he talked about some of the same very issues that you're talking about right now, which is called black codes, where basically there are policies within the country that are set up automatically to ensure that African Americans are in prison longer or sent to prison for crimes that are not violent crimes for a life period of time. You know, selling
Big
crack
time.
selling crack was one. It was a
Right.
big issue that we discussed not long ago. I think it was Freeway Rick Ross. Actually, Najee
Yes.
Ali was saying that he felt that crack was one of the first huge showstoppers, you know, big impediment to our progress here in this country. And so we brought Rick Ross on the show so we
Yeah,
could
we
talk
did.
about this issue. And basically he said the same thing that you're
Yes, he
saying right
did.
now, that people are hungry. You know, they are put in situations and they are committing these crimes
Right.
so that they can eat. And
Right.
they don't have this knowledge, they don't have the education to do better.
Right.
And so it just perpetuates itself. And so my big question to you is this one big design to basically, you know, do away with the black race?
Trees,
Let me ask you something. 50 years from now, 100 years from now, will black people exist in this country, or will we have died out? Will we become extinct?
well, I don't think God
What do
will
you
let
think?
it go to that point, but yeah, we are becoming distinct. What I do want to address is your earlier question. You said along the lines of how is this black crime on black? And it's very complex. It could be
Give us an example.
it could be a white person giving you from a poor family an opportunity, but not the rest of your family.
Okay.
And then they give you ultimatums as you either do this with us or you stay with them with nothing, you know. And so you have breakup of family ties and structures as a result of them not fitting in or not feeling, you know, to fit in. So they ended up moving on to white society, or, you know, out of the black community into where they feel they're accepted. And
So it tears up the family. It's
yeah,
like a
and that's
divide
just on
and
a
a
small
conquer
level.
of the family.
That's just on a small level. It's really very, very complex.
Okay.
You know, there's so many different techniques and strategies that the system, and I'll say the system, has put together to keep us going at each other. You know, to keep us feeling like, you know, this is all we're entitled to, or I should do something to my brother or my sister in order for me to excel in the system. You know, either you do this or you don't get that.
Okay.
You know, and this is also one of the tools in their tactics and strategy to just manipulate the blacks. But, you know, I don't want to make white people seem like they're just all the devil, because there's not. There's some good white people.
Because
you
we're
know,
not talking about
and
white
there's some
people.
good
We're
Hispanic
talking
We're
about
talking
we're
about
talking
in
about
general.
system.
the
Right,
system
right.
in
But I
general.
mean, we don't really know who, what, when, and where, so we just say white people.
But
You
we
know, like-
actually become, do you agree that once we are accepted into this system, that we actually become part of it also, and we think and view things just as the people do that we
Yeah,
are
well, you
around,
see-
opposed to the families that we left?
That's to their disadvantage.
Right.
Is because they don't see what you just said. They don't see that we are African Americans. They just see us as Africans, and they know Africa really don't really mingle with America too much. but we're African Americans. So we have an American education. And in some cases, we think like them. And in some cases, they think like us. But unfortunately, some of them feel superior in thought, and they may be because of their education, or because of the opportunity that was availed to them.
Okay.
But does it make them superior in human strength? No. So we just need to, demonstrate to them that, hey, we African Americans, we're not your enemy. Your enemy is the people overseas who has those weapons pointed over here. So that's what they need to understand.
That's interesting that you would say that. I was just thinking about the whole, peace talks with Iran and the whole bit, and the treaties being signed, and just the whole bit. But you're right. You're absolutely right. I think what is so important in this country today is that all of us are Americans, and we need to see ourselves as Americans. We are the people that make this country so beautiful. We are the people, all of us together, Americans, that make this country rich. I was reading something not long ago, an article that said that Americans are the hardest, longest working people in the entire world. And that is why this country is so rich. And we are all stretched so thin, that we're like just one scenario away from popping, just,
Right.
man down. Because
Right.
we work so hard to make this government so rich, so that it is so beautiful that everyone, throughout the world wants to come to America. But instead, we want to fight one another, and I don't get that. I don't get that part. Yeah.
It's sad.
I agree with you.
It's sad. And again, it's a serious situation. And we really, as a people, again, I stress this, is before we challenge the forces that be, we need to come complete. We need to reinvest into our own youth.
I understand.
We need our adults to govern their children more. And for crying out loud, if our kids are in any trouble with the law or whatever, and the police give them an order, they need to get down. If the police say get down, just get down. Because I watched a few, I watched a few incidents where, they were little kids, but they didn't get down. The police came and broke up their little swimming pool party. They were wrong for how they did it.
Oh, I
But
saw that
again-
one in
Yeah,
Texas.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
But our youth need to obey the law. And
You know
we
what?
need
I'm
not
glad
to-
that you said that. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yes, our youth of today needs to obey the law as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Because that would reduce the killing. That would reduce the beatings, the mysterious death in the jails that never get aired to the public.
Sure.
I did some time myself in some facilities, and I witnessed a lot of stuff go on in there. And, it's just bad. It's really bad that, they don't value life. Some of these officers don't. Some of them do. They'll bend over backwards to see that we got what we need.
Sure.
But look where we're at. We're in jail. You know what I'm saying? So
It's a little too
who
late.
cares what little bit I
It's
got?
too late, right.
Just let me go and I get my own stuff. But
Okay.
some of them do care. And they will go out their way to see to it that we get certain freedom, even in jail.
Okay.
But we do need to obey as much as we can.
Okay. That's really,
That's interesting.
it is. And your, just the way you kind of sum it up, it's really very much in depth. And I like that, because we have a tendency to hone in on one thing sometimes. And today, speaking with you, we have gotten a complete, full picture. And from our side, from the law enforcement side to the society and the whole bit, and the part that we play in it. And we don't look so innocent when I listen to you. We don't look totally innocent in it. We'd like to always believe that we are. We came over here in shackles. We built this country, and our freedoms have not come easily, and we're not progressing as quickly in the whole bit. But what I hear you say is that is true. But a good some of this is our fault, because we do not know how to utilize the assets that have been given to us, like free education taking advantage of it, understanding how to plan and strategize to set goals as to where we're going as a group of people. And because of that, it sounds like we're just kind of scattered all over. And we're
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
evolving at different. Is that what you're saying to us? 'Cause
We
that's
are
what it sounds
scattered
like
out,
to
but
me.
we know when to come together. Okay, but that's after the fact. The
Burn
reality.
it down, right?
Yeah, you know, but now what I want to say is, you know, our history has been pretty much difficult.
Yeah,
You know, we come from a struggle. I mean, as far as slavery,
definitely.
picking cotton, the 60s and 70s, we did the janitorial work, we picked fruit in the farms. You know, we did all the dirty work that they didn't want to do. You know,
Yeah.
and that took us away. Some of us couldn't go to school. We had to work.
Yeah.
We had to help feed our families. You know, so an education was not really available to all of us.
Yeah.
Now, okay, we do have education opportunities today, Pell Grants, federal grants, loans, etc. You know, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
You know, we need teachers to really give us the lesson, teach us the lesson, give us an opportunity to sit, you know, up in Wall Street or, you know, some of these nice big 15-story buildings, you know, overlooking the city, helping the city, you know, plan for some future accomplishment, success, power, you know. But as long as we don't educate our own, then we're going to be struggling.
Struggling.
We're going to be struggling.
It's interesting.
With that said, you know, Juan, we want to thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We will be back part 2 with Juan King. We'll be talking further about the evolution of freedom for African Americans here in America. We'll be right back. Until next time, I'm Antrecia Averett,
And I'm Carolyn.
and this is The Color of Success. So anyway, this is really interesting conversation, and it sounds like